in the beginning, everything just feels like it's insurmountable. And over time, you realize if you're tough, nothing's insurmountable and you're going to find a solution. Customer feedback is always amazing because there are sometimes days and weeks where it's just like, how, why, what am I doing? But when you get this feedback from people about how your little product is helping their life or changing their life or making them feel better, that's also a currency. There's different currencies and different ways of being paid that aren't capital. You know, if you have a quality product, that's a currency that hopefully you're earning. And hopefully that feels good to you as a small business. It gets smoother, but there's always a new challenge. So you're always on your toes.
And we are live. Mollee, back in action. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. You've been on the show 3 times now, maybe?
I think so. I can't believe it's been maybe close to 5 years. You had us on when we produced 500 units, our first itty bitty.
Yeah. The first time we met was at KetoCon, wasn't it?
I no. Well, I think in person, yes. There was a gal, a keto runner that you've had on your podcast a few times, who's also a CPA, who reached out to you about us, was my understanding. And then we reached out to you, and that was kind of our first hello. And then I think you're right. I don't think we met in person until KetoCon.
It's been cool though, because I feel like, because when did y'all launch the business?
Like officially like the beginning of 2020, but the end of 2019 is kind of when everything started. But we had so little knowledge about what we were doing that it was less real until the beginning of 2020. So right before the pandemic.
Yeah, we launched Keto Brick in 2018, but then we didn't start going to the conferences until like 2019, 2020. So like we kind of met in person when both of us were pretty new on our feet with this whole business thing. So it's been cool because you and I have been to so many of the same conferences over the years. Yep. And like I'll go not even knowing that you're going to be there, and then I'll see you, and then we just automatically strike up a conversation. It's like talking to old friends because we've gone through the paces together, which is cool.
And you said it is going through the paces. There's no, like, things get easier, but you're always learning something new. You're always recalibrating. You're always figuring out how to smooth operations, smooth raw material purchases, like, what's the best way to grow the business when you have so little money to spend on marketing? What makes the most sense? And no, it gets smoother, but there's always a new challenge. So you're always on your toes. Always.
It's cool though, because you're doing, like, you're changing things, you're adapting, you're pivoting as needed. And like, you'll come up with a new software that's super handy. You'll, be kind and generous enough to give me the heads up on it, and vice versa. So it's like we're growing together and we're just appreciating each other's headaches. That way we don't have to face them ourselves.
No, I've thought about this a lot recently, and I think more so because I'm not working for anyone else anymore. So it's wonderful and more frightening, because your business has to pay you enough for your basic needs and to continue to run your business. But there's this family of brother sister companies that are all kind of like, they've been around for a similar number of years. And I feel like I have a community of companies, a family of companies that I can reach out to and learn from. And now I'm doing work for companies in exchange for things companies can do for me instead of money. And it's actually really satisfying to do kind of like, here, can you help my company grow in this way? Here's how I can help your company grow. And it really does feel like there's a community of just high quality individuals making high quality products that are very generous with their learnings. And I don't know that I expected that when I started this, to find family through the business.
Well, if you think about it, like, that's how people, historically speaking, have always functioned. Like, people in a bartering community, like someone's got, sheep, someone's got eggs, someone's got cabbage, you trade. You're not exchanging currency, you're exchanging valuables. And if you think about it, like, that's how you build relationships. Yeah, you get this greater sense of camaraderie and community. And if you do that in today's day and age, in the business sense, like, everyone benefits, everyone wins. It's just way more fulfilling, way more satisfying, as you said.
it feels so much better, and the results that I get when I'm trading, like I'm a workhorse. So I have much more of myself than I can spend, than I have money that I can spend. So if someone has a platform that can help my business grow that I could never, afford to pay for, I know I have plenty of personal capital that I can give to them to do a thing. That relationship feels so much more satisfying than, okay, let me see your body of work, let me see the contract. And, I've gone down that path. I would call them failures that we learned from, where we thought we were doing the right thing by working with a certain podcaster. So we sign a 3-month contract to get ads, assuming they know what they're doing. Now I'm stuck paying money I don't have for a thing. And I can't talk to the person because there's an in-between person setting the thing up.
Mhm.
That versus, hey, let me help you launch your product, and in exchange for that, can we get ad reads on your massive platform? And you just feel good at the end of the day. Like,
Totally.
someone spent their life building an audience over here. I spent my life in the supplement industry and I know my way around that. And it really is a modern day, here's a sheep for a cow. And I like it.
Yeah.
Feels
Beautiful.
better.
It does. It does. Feels more human.
It's,
Um,
yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the evolution, because like in the beginning, the primary thing was the coffee creamer, the Keto Brains coffee creamer, which
Yep.
is the formula has pretty much been the same for the most part since day one in that regard, right?
Correct. Yeah, we haven't changed anything. We did upgrade our alpha GPC like 2 years in, but beyond that, people respond so well and so strongly. I will not change the formula. We could save a ton of money if I did, and be like lots of other companies that have 90% margins and can spend it all on fancy people. But I can't. I won't. I come from an industry where 90% of the products that I saw at market, or that showed up at my door for me to evaluate to put on my shelves, they had beautiful, brilliant packaging, wonderful marketing, and you flip that bag over and you're getting subpar amounts of subpar ingredients.
Yeah.
And that was why I was concocting keto brains for myself to begin with, before it even became a product. So the hero product, if you will, like the heart of the company, is the keto brains nootropic creamer. We sell a variety of other items. Typically when we sell other items, unless it's you know over time, people wanted a longer scoop so that their hand didn't get all covered in keto brains when they put it in the bag. So we designed a nice long metal scoop that gives you your perfect dose. People were sending me, it was quite sweet. They were sending me photos of Tupperware containers with keto brain stickers on them on their counter. And they really wanted something nice to hold their keto brains. So we went and we designed a airtight, silicone sealed Miron glass jar so that people could, it's an honor that our product lives in people's kitchens on their counter next to their coffee maker. And I thought it was adorable that they wanted something nice. So, we made the jar and just a number of products around the original product. Same with the single serving. We have so many stories, one of my favorite being a grandma who loved keto brains. So she kept little baggies of it in her car, and she loaned her car to her granddaughter one day, and her granddaughter freaked out and called her mom because they thought they needed to have an intervention.
Yep.
So after so many stories of people being worried about carrying around white baggies, we were finally able to get to a point where we could produce the single serve packets so people could comfortably in public open their little, white baggies of powder. A lot of what we have is just support products for keto brains. But, we last year, our biggest wholesale account for a few years now has been a wonderful brother team, two brothers in Norway, and they endeavored to open an EU distribution center in Sweden. So we worked with them to produce a version of Keto Brains for the EU. And we had to change one ingredient because alpha GPC works so well that in the European Union, it's a pharmaceutical. But a very similar molecule, CDP choline, for some reason is not a pharmaceutical. So we're producing product for them. And they started a new company of electrolytes. So Norway's favorite electrolytes. And so we are in turn we're their distributor for the salty electrolytes. So that's one of those situations where like this team of people, these two brothers are just wonderful to work with. So it was a really
Mhm.
easy, yes, we'd love to be your US distributor for your product because, they've been so wonderful and so kind to work with in bringing Keto Brains to the European Union. We ship all over the world, but it's so costly for people to order directly from us.
It's
Anytime we can,
ridiculous.
it's insane. Like we have a couple people in Mexico that sell the product, a doctor and another sibling team, oddly enough, that have been able to get it into Mexico. Canada remains a bit of a conundrum. Australia remains a conundrum. But we keep trying to get it to people. But tangential as always, apologies. But yes, we Keto Brains is still the main thing, but anytime we're in love with a product and we take it daily, if there's a way for us to share it with our customers by selling it, we do that. We sell an
Yeah.
NMN, we sell a spermidine. We are shipping a creatine stick pack soon because that's something we use every day and we travel a lot, and traveling with a giant tub of creatine is silly. So we thought stick packs with 5 grams to add to your Keto Brains in your coffee would be a smart move. So we're going to launch that very soon. We're we being small, we can be nimble, but in business, the cash conversion cycle is king. Like we
Hmm.
have all these things we want to do, but what can we do without running out of money to pay for what we need to do? So, we're always looking at the ways that we can offer more of what we've personally vetted and taken for multiple years without going out of business. It's kind of,
Cash conversion cycle is no joke. That's our biggest headache right now. I'm trying to do like we can totally go into the weeds with any of this that you want to, but I've been strategizing how I can free up some bandwidth there because it's probably similar with you, but like when you're doing your own ingredient sourcing, some of these supplier lead times are like astronomically long. Like I've got protein suppliers that are, 12, 14 week, 18-week lead times. And
yeah.
if I've got to pay a deposit on that and then wait 18 weeks before I can even put it in a brick to sell, like I have no cash on hand to do
Nope.
so.
Uh-uh.
And when I look at my business, I've got either finished bricks on hand, cash in the bank account, or a bunch of raw ingredients
Yep.
on the floor. And if I
Mm-hmm.
don't have two of those three, then I'm
It
kind of
hangs
out of
apart.
business, So
No, and we just went through. So if you don't have a business and you've never produced a product, you don't have an understanding of how many countries are involved in getting just a finished raw material to the United States. So, for instance, with coconut, it doesn't matter if it started in Thailand. It's going to go through some processing in Thailand and in China and then in the States. And every place that raw material goes, irrespective of where it started, there's fees associated with that in the end. Packaging, even if your packaging is made in the US, the raw materials for the packaging are probably not made in the US. So there's worries over there. So when the whole tariff thing was about to happen, we had no idea what that would mean for us because I've tried to get, say, coconut product directly from Thailand or from other places, and the infrastructure isn't the same as in China. So what you find is that coconut is being sent to a country that has the processing plants to deal with large amounts of it. So
mhm.
basically, all of my raw material suppliers right around that period of time were letting me know, hey, if you want raw material, get it now. Even the stuff that's produced, like the alpha GPC is produced in Brazil and Italy. Even then, they didn't know when they were going to get more raw material. So we typically produce 3 months worth of product at a time, and cash conversion cycle on that is difficult. We just had to produce a year's worth of product in a month. That was insane. And back to relationships, three of my vendors were able to work with me on extended pay times, on like I don't like asking for anything, but when you're in a situation where you may not have product and go out of business, you have no shame. Just like, hey, here's the situation. We want to keep working with you. What can we do about terms? I need 5 times the amount of raw material I typically purchase, and I don't have $60,000 right now. What can we do?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that has been interesting because what you're talking about, at the end of this month, we will have finished paying for all of that and have more product on hand than ever, which is wonderful because we're always running out of product. So we're not going to have to worry about running out of product. But now it's X number of months to pay off the money that we had to find to get our hands on all of that raw material. And then there's a chance that 6 months in, like, everybody's paid off, we still have product, and we have more revenue than we've ever had. But you just don't know. Because to your point, like, when we have enough money in the bank to buy all our raw materials and then have zero left, that used to freak me out. But when we can do that, that's fantastic. We did it because we'll soon have product, money will start coming in. But it's like, it's taken 5 years for me to not be constantly freaked out about that. Like, I know people love our product and I know we can sell it, but I have to make it
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, it's kind of comical when I stop and think about how much my overhead is and how little I have in cash on hand in the account right now. It's like this makes no sense. If anybody was to see this, they would they would just laugh at me.
Well,
Um,
so
but
this
you know
is,
your customers, you know the monthly revenue. Like you just have a pulse on things when you're the owner. You
and
should.
especially a small company, like
Yeah.
you're you, and I know you have a small team, but you're like Kyle and I in one. I think you're all the pieces that Kyle and I do for the most part. So it's all in here. I, to your point, like, I don't want to put a spreadsheet in front of some like VC person because they're not going to know. I know what's going on. I know
Yeah.
we're going to be okay. But man, in the past, it was just like, it was incredibly stressful. Now, one of the things that these past 5 years has taught me that it's taken me a long time to understand, like, Elon, for instance, he doesn't have money. He has lived in such a way that he can get whatever money he needs when he needs it. And he can turn assets into money should he need it. But he's not sitting on $2 billion or however much money they say he's worth. So this concept of it's like concentric circles of relationships, whether it's Shopify or your bank or anyone else, you prove yourself over a period of time to be worthy of money being available to you at a certain cost,
Mhm.
obviously. So, in the beginning, we could maybe get a $5,000 loan. Now, if we can get a $200,000 loan, that's scary. I don't want to take that money. But with a business, it's like, okay, if I now have available to me a chunk of $80,000 and I can turn that into X number of units of product and we can profit this much off of it and we take this much out of every bag we sell to pay that back, that has been a really interesting thing for me to think of it more as a tool. Like, debt is a tool, finance is a tool, and this idea that I can, because in the beginning it was like, yay, look at us, we're stacking money in the account. We made product, stacking money. And as soon as you stack that money, you got to spend that money to make more over here. And so it just felt like chasing my tail. Like, you feel good, like there's money in the bank. You're like, no, now we have to spend it. And it's just business. And I think, people who grow giant businesses, think of Elon. Elon didn't have money to buy X, but he found a way to find the money to buy X. He didn't have that money sitting there. And that was a worthwhile investment for him. And many would argue for, the rest of humanity. But whatever you argue for in any business, the thing that has shocked me the most is just like how much money you have to find from other places, and that's the norm. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know that anyone just has $100,000 in the bank to go start a business. I mean, power to you if you do, but you were doing something else to get that $100,000, or you still are.
Yeah.
So all of that to say, just like my relationship to currency and to money and to debt, all of that has evolved out of necessity, because we just keep growing, but you can't grow without spending. And it's this idea like, oh, we did this, I made this product and we're going to make a 50% margin. Well, you didn't account for, shipping, and you didn't account for the shipping to the customer, the shipping of the pallets, the cost of the pallets to ship the pallets to your warehouse. You didn't account for any of that. So your margin just keeps shrinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny because like my brother, he wants to start his own business right now. He's a couple years younger than me, but he's always been very conservative with his idea of finances. So like he doesn't like having a credit card. He doesn't like having debt. He just likes to pay everything off in cash.
That
I'm
was
like,
me
man,
when we started.
yeah, and I totally respect it. And if you're like working a 9 to 5 and you've got a consistent paycheck every 2 weeks, like that probably makes a lot of sense. But if you're trying to build and be ambitious in business, like you got to take risks. And the moment you become comfortable taking those risks, you're actually going to start seeing opportunities you wouldn't otherwise. The
Correct.
first 2 years are hard because no banks are willing to lend in usually those first 2 years because they want that proven track record.
Yep.
So you wind up doing some risky things there, like leveraging credit cards and
Oh
whatnot.
yeah.
Did you ever do one of those Shopify loans? Like when because you're on Shopify too, like you
So
get like after so many years, you get a Shopify loan.
we do. We leverage those when we need to because they're always there and we don't have to think about paying it back because it's just coming out of every sale. And it's not ideal, but again, if I'm at a place where I need, like, all of a sudden we sold out of product and the cash conversion cycle hasn't caught up with me needing to produce product, we will leverage them. It's not our preference, but we're happy they exist and it's not our preference.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I've done it like 3 times.
Yep.
I don't have any balances on any of them currently, but the first time I did it, I didn't know that you could like call with your point of contact and like adjust rates and everything.
Yep.
So I just did what was offered there in the get go, and it was like a 17% remittance rate.
Okay.
And so like basically 17% of every sale
Yep.
every day is
Yeah.
held by Shopify to pay that off, which just killed my cash flow all the more.
Yeah.
So I needed to do it. I didn't know of another option, but like things like that, you just learn over time and you deal with. But man,
Well,
it can
and
be.
no, we dealt with, like, we kind of went through the same phases. Like we talked about a few times ago. We literally started the company with, like, I was at the end of a debt relief program, so my credit was nothing. Kyle had one $15,000 credit card that was just available. We started the whole business on that. That was it. And then there was another credit card, and then there was another credit card, and then it took 2 or 3 years to pay Kyle, because you don't even know how any of this works. Like, that's Kyle. So the business needs to pay Kyle back because those were Kyle's personal cards. And then you make sure you're only using a business card. Like, you're just scrambling like a squirrel on crack to keep your business
Mhm.
going at the beginning. And you just like, whatever, we'll figure it out later. And then when you get to the figure out later part and you've got an accountant trying to like do the figuring out for you, it's a mess. But we did the credit card thing and we finally got that in order. We hated doing the Shopify loan thing, or PayPal does the same thing.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, it's so quick and simple, and you're not going through an underwriter, you're not going through an outside bank, and the amount that they offer you, like, your terms get better over the years. But to your point, when you're brand new and they're offering you $5,000 and that $5,000 is the difference between you having a company next month and not having a company, you just don't even read the fine print because to your point, you have no other options. And we're
Yeah.
not people who are going to go to, like, I'm not going to ask family and like, I'm too, I don't know, Gen X, German, like, fuck that. I don't know how to ask for help. We're just going to figure it out. Like, I can't. And you do. And it does get better. But the cash conversion cycle on a quality product is rough because, just like with your product, you make a pristine product. You don't cut corners. All of the ingredients are well thought out and well sourced. The cost to make your product, the cost to make Keto Brick, the cost to make Keto Brains versus 90% of the other products on the market, it's no, we're talking, like, if you work with the VC, they will tell you want to go to market with an 80% margin.
Yeah.
My product would be like $300. No one would buy it. Like it's not possible for me to produce that and make that margin, because you're supposed to have 80% margin to pay for everything else. The famous people to talk about your product, the marketing dollars for Google or whatever. And it's, all you can really do is think about what other quality product can I make that does have a better margin, right? Like what you've got, kind of like in grocery store terminology, there's a lost leader. They're going to sell you organic eggs for $3 because you're going to buy raw milk for 15. It's like always trying to figure out you know, where can you, where can you make up margin?
Yeah, and I thought about that a lot. And like for people that are wired like you and I, it's like we wouldn't be able to bring ourselves to degrade the quality of our product.
Nope.
And like that would mean we're not coming home with near as much take home pay or margin, obviously. And likely that's going to hinder, you know, advertising growth and all that
All
stuff.
that.
But it's like at the end of the day, what do you want to hang your hat on the most? And I've asked myself this a million times. Like I could have a lot more money in the account, my personal account, if I cut corners.
Yep.
And people, oftentimes people hang their hat on that.
Yep.
But like, I'd be more proud of the fact of doing what I've done, which is like actually setting out to make the best quality product that I can and never
Exactly.
deviating from that. And to me, I'm at peace with that, you know, and it doesn't come without its fair share of headaches because there's hardly any margin on the bricks. Like everybody gets paid more than me with the bricks,
Yep.
but it's like, there's not a better product out there that fits that demographic. So it's like, I'm just going to keep offering the best, you know?
That's yeah. I'm the same, and we've had things presented to us like co-packers that we've gone to, like, hey, we can make this for half the cost. And they explained to me what like big companies with big
Mhm.
celebrities behind them do. So if someone was making keto brain, some famous person over here, and like we use alpha size, alpha GPC from Chemi Nutra, super high quality raw material, incredibly expensive per kilo, but it's got its own studies behind it. I know where the labs are. They're an amazing company. So if that ingredient's $500 per kilo and you can get some other one that the studies aren't done on for $100 a kilo, what these companies will do is, and apparently it's legal, they list on the bag that they're using, say, alpha GPC, but it's 10% alpha GPC and 90% the other it's
Mhm.
90% the alpha size or whichever trademarked raw material, but then 90% of the cheap stuff. But you don't know that when you're buying the product. And we've had people present that to us, and I can't. It's an immediate no. I don't, I've gotten all of my raw materials costs down as much as I can and my packaging down as much as I can. And that's the only thing I can do with
Yeah.
this product. And, I, again, 25 years now in this industry, most of them deep in the supplement realm. That's what I come from. And that's why I made this for myself every morning to begin with, because nothing anyone was making was meeting my expectations for quality and dosage. So for
Yeah.
me to change the formula for that, no, I'd rather, like we briefly talked about before we started, we started a second company to sell other things. There's slightly better margins on those things. They're still super high quality. There's other ways for me to think about how can I increase revenue, because I'm simple. If my bills are paid and Kyle's bills are paid, and the handful of people that we have to pay to help us produce the product are paid, and the product is paid for, so I can purchase raw materials to make more product. Like that's what I'd be doing if I was farming. Like if I was on a piece of land and I had, you know, whatever, I could get gas for my tractor and we had food on the table and the people I love were taken care of. That's priority number one. I can't think about this game over here where I'm trying to stack cash in a bank account, because that's just not the reality of a tiny business. But if you can maintain your existence and maintain and grow your business, this is something that only in this past year have Kyle and I both really been able to like step back, take a breath, and appreciate. Like neither of us work for anyone else now. We pay ourselves just enough to pay our monthly bills. There's no fancy anything. and we have a business, and Keto Brains is doing that for us. Our little business is allowing us to live a life where we're not working for someone else, and there's no extra, but that's a
Yeah.
win. I'm sorry, for a tiny business, that's a win.
Huge win. And I think it's great that you've got that realization and perspective. Because I mean, it's really easy to get ahead of yourself. Like I got a call last week from this company that focuses on training people up to pitch to Walmart so they can get their product in
Yep.
Walmart. And I'm located where Walmart's headquartered, so like
Nice.
I've got a foot in the door there.
Yep.
But they were telling me about all the stuff that they would do, all the hoops that I have to jump through, all the corners I would have to cut to be able to meet their requirements. And it's like I don't want to be at Walmart. I don't want to be disconnected from my customer base.
No.
I don't want that life. Like if I had billions in the bank account, what would I do with my time? And in reality, what I would want to do with my time is make exactly what I'm doing right now. So it's like, why do I need to do anything different than what I'm doing right now?
No, it's keep moving forward, and customer feedback is always amazing because there are sometimes days and weeks where it's just like, how, why, what am I doing? But when you get this feedback from people about how about how your little product is helping their life or changing their life or making them feel better, that's that's also a currency. Like not all
Mhm.
currency is this weird paper stuff or the fake numbers somewhere up in the clouds that are being kept track of. There's different currencies and different ways of being paid that aren't capital, that aren't, fungible dollars. and
Yeah.
and those are lessons if you have a quality product, that's a currency that hopefully you're earning, and hopefully that feels good to you as a small business to know that. I mean, that's why you start something like this to begin with. Like you have a product that worked amazing for you for what you were doing, and you kind of scratch your head and go, okay, I can't be the only one for whom this creation would feel good or would help. And there's just so many places along the journey where it's so easy to get caught up in the one thing in front of you that you forget all of the other things. And both Kyle and I are trying to get better he's much better at it than I am, to be honest, but to step back and to look at those currencies, the relationships, the company relationships, the amazing people that we never would have met if it wasn't for the company, the customers who just shower love upon us because the product has helped them. And then you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. Like my bills are paid. Yes, I have debt. Who doesn't? We're good.
That's the key. Like, I don't think I'll ever experience this crazy viral hockey stick uptick. Like, I've just been slow and steady from day one. But I mean, I get those emails from appreciative customers on the daily. And like, that's what freaking breathes oxygen into my lungs. Like, I could be scratching my head wondering if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in life. But then I'll get an email like that. And it's like, yeah, this is exactly what
It
I'm supposed to be doing.
resets you. It's like it almost like gives you permission to take that proper full belly breath and go, no, no, I'm good. We're doing okay.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
What is your, so I feel like there's like this evolution psychologically in your position and my position at this stage in our business where it's like it's not ever going to be like this finish line moment. There's never going to be this moment where it just like gets easy or drastically shifts. Like this is just what it is.
This is
But
fixed
now
mind. Yep.
that's okay. It's like a positive thing instead of a negative thing. So like the rat race hasn't changed,
Nope.
but it's no longer a negative, so to speak.
So it's almost like what it feels like. So I don't anymore, but I used to do backcountry trail running. And the smart thing to do is to train, and you put a lot of hours into training. So when you show up at 4 a.m. to run that marathon in the mountains, you know what to expect and you've trained for it. So, any pain that comes up, any discomfort, you know how to contend with it. And I feel like starting a business from nothing is like something I've also done, which is like, all right, I'll run that marathon with zero training. So you don't have enough recent feeling of what a marathon feels like. So everything is a battle. You forget that you want to quit 5 miles in and 10 miles in and 20 miles in. You forget that you're going to get a Charlie horse. You forget that all of these things. So an untrained marathon is kind of what it feels like when you start a business and you don't give up on it. Like, you think you know what you're doing because you've done a bunch of other stuff in your life before, but you've not done that thing. And now, like 5 years in, it's like you've run into you've trained. You've trained for the marathon. Marathons hurt no matter what. You're gonna cramp no matter what. You're not gonna want to finish it no matter what, unless you're, I don't know, you do it professionally. But it doesn't feel as devastating because you kind of like, all right, I've seen that roadblock before. How can I navigate this time? Instead of, in the beginning, everything just feels like it's insurmountable. And over time, you realize, if you're tough, nothing's insurmountable and you're going to find a solution. So instead of any moment of any non-stoic freak out moment, you go, okay, here's the problem. How do I solve it? What do I do? Who can I call? How can I make this happen? So it becomes, and maybe this is the entrepreneur thing. Like, I think we like having problems to solve, and especially when
100%.
they're immediate, right? If there's an immediate issue, laser focused. When it's like, yeah, what are we going to do about this in 8 months? It's hard because the problem isn't in front of you yet. And I think, having a bootstrap business, very often the problem's right in front of you. And so you get that laser focus and you figure it out. And from year 1 to year 5, there's just less, like, there's less of this. It's more like this, the emotions involved, and you can get back to
Yeah,
baseline quicker. And it just, with everything, it's, it's good training. It's good training for life. I think
it
everyone
is.
should
It
try to
is.
have a business so they know.
Yeah, I feel like my degree of confidence as a man, as a provider, as a human being in society is like just skyrocketed since I started building confidence with the business, because it was like anything that is an issue, I can find a solution to. And I would never have had that confidence had it been before the business, because like I wasn't faced with those kind of things.
Yep.
Whereas now it's like you can literally come at me from left field with this harebrained issue,
Yep.
and I may not know the answer right then, but I will
We'll
find the
find it.
solution
Yep.
in pretty short order.
But it does bleed into your entire life. Like, nothing ever feels like a drastic issue. It's just a
Yeah.
new roadblock to find a solution to. And it's with everything. Like, we had to switch banks. Like, we thought we could keep our California bank because they said we could, but in order to keep the California bank, we would have had to we'd still be a Montana business, but there's some piece of paperwork that says you're doing business in California as a foreign entity, and we wanted out of California.
Yeah. So you had Nexus in California still. So you'd have had to pay sales tax in California,
I
basically.
don't, we wouldn't have even had it. They said we wouldn't have even had Nexus because none of the operations would be there. I don't know what it was, but I didn't want anything to do with it because we did everything in our power to make sure that no Nexus was involved, that California can take nothing from us. So I had 2 weeks to close the bank and open a new bank. And you think that would be quick and easy, but it's not. And, I had a lot of lessons in not losing my shit over the past, it banking's so archaic. It should not take 3 weeks to set up e-banking. And
Yeah.
banks don't understand, e-commerce. Like, this is an old school farmers bank. They understand how farmers spend money. They don't understand how we spend money. So it's just like all of this back and forth. And it in the end, like, the bank manager called and we're going to sit down and talk to them so they can understand how an e-commerce business works and see what they can do to work with us. And I think, 5 years ago, I just would have been like, you know what, we're out, we're not working with you. I'm going to find another solution, which would have just created more problems for me in having access to my money. But there's always some new roadblock. And to your point, everything you learn as an entrepreneur, especially in the bootstrap game, it's you can't teach it. You can't teach it. You've got people with business degrees. I don't know what that's good for. I really don't, because you know you don't have a P&L or revenue, or like, you don't, all those freaking acronyms don't exist when you're in the first year. Everyone's coming at you
Yeah.
with their damn acronyms in finance. I'm like, no, I need to make this much product. I have this much money. I don't care about your acronyms. How are we going to make this happen? And,
Yep.
you know, me having an MBA isn't going to change like the basics. I need to buy this much stuff to make this much product to make this much money to do it again. Like,
I mean, I've got an MBA, and I don't think I can point to a single thing that I've learned from college that I've applied to business.
no, that's
You know?
my brother Kyle is the first to tell you, like, scream at you, do not go to college. And he's got master's in education. He's got some degree in linguistics, some degree in Spanish, he's got all like the fancy degrees, and all he has is debt.
Yeah.
And part of it he thinks is like he graduated from high school in 2000, and that generation of kids were all told like, you're the new generation, all you have to do is get the degrees and then there'll be a job and then you'll buy a house and then you'll do this. So he's like tail end of Gen X, but millennial, and close enough to Gen X to not be a whiny millennial, but enough to be like, dude, I have hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. I did the thing you told me to do. I got the grades. I got the degrees. And he apprenticed. He wanted to do photography. He saw a dude that did it, and he apprenticed with him and started a business with no knowledge of how to start a business, with no degrees that had anything to do with it. And that was his path. And he's the first one to tell people, don't do it. Don't go that path. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how old is Kyle?
Kyle is, okay, he's 5 years younger than me. I'm 48. So what is it, 42? Can I do math? 43?
Yeah. See, I'm 33, but I don't think I'm a millennial, but I don't think I'm in that whiny millennial category. I hope not, anyways.
So no, and I don't like the whole generation things. It's funny because like two super rich dudes that are now dead wrote a book apparently in the 70s and came up with all this shit.
Yeah.
Some of it holds true sometime, but I think so much of it has to do, one, like sibling order. So like women that I knew throughout the years who were the older sibling that were the same age, like I had nothing in common with them. Like I was just like a geeky kid in the woods that knew nothing about pop culture, nothing about Hollywood. I don't know any of the stuff that they knew. I think there's too many pieces to generalize that way, but there are some things, or at least in some communities, where there was a certain message that you were kind of given, and it's I don't know. I meet people of all ages that are just awesome, and you can't put a stamp of, oh, you're this on them. And no,
totally.
you're honorary Gen X.
Honorary Gen X. I like it. I like it. How is working? We talked about this last time on the podcast, I believe, but like the dynamic of working with your brother in the business.
Yeah.
How have y'all's roles shifted since the last recording? Has there been any drastic?
So we trade. Like when we first started, I had gotten off social media way back, 8 years before we started the company. I didn't even know how to do social media anymore. And Kyle wanted nothing to do with it because he had been doing it for his business. So anything social media was me. I mean, honestly, social media is still me, but website build out, all the technical stuff on the back end, all the finances, like Kyle kind of did all of that. But as we have moved up to Montana, the product moved away from me while I was still trying to get up here. So the roles will shift where I'm doing all of the back end and Kyle is doing all of the physical work. But then, so basically over the years, we can both do everything now. Where in the beginning, I relied heavily on Kyle for, hey, there's this loan, should we take it? Hey, can you pay this bill? What's an ACH? How do I ACH? How do I set an ACH up? Like, how do I do an international wire? Neither of us knew how to do most of that, but Kyle would take on those kind of intricacies and I would make sure that we had product. Everything on my end would be sourcing raw materials, getting the product out, educating on the product. But now, because of how we have physically moved, we basically kind of take turns. So like right now, Kyle's, so the garage on our property has been converted into a warehouse and a shipping unit.
Nice.
And so I'm trying to finish painting a kitchen. So Kyle is over at our place doing the shipping. And then when I'm back, I will be doing the shipping because the warehouse is on my property, and he will be taking care of all of the back end stuff that you don't think about. Like there's always an issue with your subscription app. There's an issue with your rewards app. There, like all of that stuff, we don't have a dev. So we're both the dev. We're both, so I think the biggest shift is that out of necessity, I'll end up doing a lot of the stuff Kyle did in the beginning, which is wonderful because I had no idea how to do it in the beginning. And then he has had more of an opportunity to kind of see this industry in a different light, because he was always around the industry because I was always like, Kyle, try this. Kyle, we need to take this. Kyle, this supplement, do this, do this. But now he has his own perspective on the industry that he didn't have 5 years ago that has nothing to do with me. And that is something that's new. He'll see something at one of the shows that we go to and bring that to my attention, where when we started, it was just all my base of knowledge from my years in the industry. So there's a little more like creativity in the product side from him than from me now. And there's just more of a global shared, we can both do everything. And yeah, I can't tell you how amazing it is, because with a sibling, if you have a good relationship with them, you don't know anyone else's brain as well as you know that sibling. And we also don't offend one another. So I don't have to worry about, how do I carefully construct this email about an order that was sent in correctly? I can just say, hey, we missed something. I put the order in. Can you be sure to ship it today? And not worry that he's going to get upset about it or this or that. Or if I have an idea and he doesn't like it, he's going to tell me, and then we're going to talk through it. But in so many work relationships, you have to be so careful about, like, you can't be in a hurry, because if you're in a hurry and you're talking to someone, they're going to think you're mad. But if I'm in a hurry or he's in a hurry, and he's got a new puppy and our mom moved in with him and he's trying to ship orders and he's trying to fix this, I know how busy he is. So I know he's not going to be happy when I ask him to do this thing, but I still have to ask him, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that with paid employees. Like, it's just different. So the deeper we get into this, just the more intensely grateful we are, because I can't imagine it, because he still has another business that he's trying to either sell or partner with someone on. It's so hard to find someone to partner with, like, for something this crucial.
Yeah, it's scary. Partnerships are scary.
No,
Yeah, I
no,
don't
and
either.
this one was so natural, and it still is, and it's not stress free, but like, there's no worry that you're going to lose your partner,
Yeah. No, that's
or
true.
that they're going
That's
to
true.
hold something against you, because you're neither of us are ever like, we're not trying to make anyone feel any one thing. We're just trying to get the
Yeah.
thing done. Who can get the thing done? And um, yeah, I again, it would be doing this by myself, or doing this with anyone else. I just can't imagine.
So with your working alongside your brother,
Yep.
having the warehouse on the property that you're going to be living
Yep.
on, many would argue that there's not really any tangible separation between work and personal life. Is that the case?
It's just life. It's
Yeah.
just life.
It's just like,
It's just, that's it. It's just life. We try sometimes to do that, but he has his own life and I have my own life. And, you know, yeah, I don't even know, I think, how to wrap my head around that anymore. There's life and there's what you need to do in life to live the way you want to live, with your partner, with your family, with your dogs. And I'm not someone anymore that I don't have the time to overthink it. Is like, is
yeah,
everyone taken care of? Is everyone taken care of? Am I remembering to take care of me? That part I'm not good at. But I feel like that sentiment is for people who are accustomed to a 9 to 5.
totally.
And I do think you need like that separation. When I had a 9 to 5, I got way too invested and it was never worth it financially. And I would take work home with me and there would be no separation because I'd be stewing over a thing or stewing over the fact that I was giving my heart to a business that was giving me $19 an hour or $5 an hour or whatever it was. And even with that, I remember a very distinct moment where it was right around when I got into trail running. I was like, you know what? I'm going to practice this thing. Like, they love my work. They love what I do. I do a really good job. I can do my job blindfolded. Like, it's easy. They don't want any more from me. I'm going to stop trying to give them more. When I'm off work, I'm off work and I'm going to train for mountain marathons. And so I started to create that distinction out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't feel that because it's like it's a family business. And, even with this property, Kyle and I, everything that we're doing, like my man's family has been up in Montana for 30 plus years. We wouldn't have moved up here if it wasn't for their family. The house we rented was an extra house that Keith's sister had. They needed to rent it. We rented it. So the money made by Keto Brains, we pay to Kyle and he pays rent to live there. Keith couldn't do this without the two of us. So it's like it's really hard for me to extract it because every piece of our life, being able to move our mom up here is attached to the business. Kyle being able to live here is attached to the business. So it feels like I feel a responsibility for the business to succeed and thrive for my entire little community because it makes it easier for all of us involved. So it doesn't feel like a burden that there's not a separation. Like I'm not looking for that. Like I can, we got giant raspberry bushes right around the back of the shed. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna go eat raspberries between shipping orders. Like no, I don't need a separation.
Now, I'm 100% the same way, but it's like, it's good for me to hear other people cut from a similar cloth, reiterate that message because like society really paints that in a negative light,
It
like
does.
being too involved. But I feel like that's only a negative thing because most people feel miserable in the work that
They
they're
don't
doing.
like what
Whereas
they're
like when
doing.
you love, yeah, when you love every aspect, not every aspect. I mean, there's things I don't love answering emails
Yep.
nonstop, paying bills, but like I love the thing that I'm building and creating with my own two hands.
Correct.
And when you love it and it's like intertwined into every aspect of your life, like it's afforded me the opportunity to have a wife that's able to work from home
Yep.
completely with my kids. Like I wouldn't get that elsewhere.
No.
And it's like, I've got nothing to complain about. If I've got to, come in and fix something in the middle of the night, like on Christmas Eve last year, our pipes burst in the building. So I was here on Christmas Eve with my wife and kid on a ladder and 6 inches of water on the ground fixing a busted pipe. But it is what it
But
is. But
it's
it's just
also
life.
like it's a privilege because
Yeah,
you don't
for
have
sure.
to ask anyone for the time off to do the thing that comes up. Like you are the only, if you can make the thing happen, then you do it. And if you can't, you don't. And to your point, I think most people like they're plugged into a job they hate either because they can't get something better or they haven't tried to get something better or the money is so good that they think it's worth the stress. And I had this funny progression where, when we first started Keto Brains, it was a 9 to 5 that became a salaried job. And then I had an opportunity to be director of innovation and make a ton more money and leave this job that I could have had my entire life. I jumped on that thinking, okay, this is better. It's more money. It's all of these things. And having done this a few times now, these super fancy, expensive companies with like 5 to 10 investors, like they're all insane. Like every investor's trying to go in a different direction. They don't know what you're doing. You're over here getting paid a good salary, but you can't do what you're paid for. So you're constantly stressed about whether or not like, am I do it, how am I getting paid when I'm getting paid? You're not letting me do what like no one can agree on what you want me to do. So how am I
Hmm.
supposed to feel secure in this job because you hired me to do this? But you've got 10 investors who can't decide what Mollee should do. So Molly's over here doing everything she can do, but thinking her job is going to go away. So that's always in the back of your head over here. I went from that company to doing contracting for another company that was the same thing. Multiple investors, everyone thought the business was going to go in a different direction. I knew what I was hired for. Couldn't do any of what I was hired for. So again, here you are, like, you're trying to be, I can take my passion and share it with someone else for a job. But for me, it never like, I don't want to say it never works out. It's like, I've given the passion and been overpaid. I've given the passion and been underpaid. And it all feels the same in the end. You're still stressed. You're still stressed because you are trying to give everything to do the job that you were hired to do, but you've got this is the other thing about having a business that's just me and Kyle. There's no one to ask permission from. There's no ask this higher up. They're going to give you permission, and that's going to go down the line, and that's going to go down the line, and that's going to go down the line. It's basically, I slowly got out of the workforce and tried a bunch of different iterations before I got to the scary place where Keto Brains was paying me. But I prefer the fear over making sure we hit our daily sales goals so that we can pay everything for my business over this. I don't like working for companies where there's too many people to get permissions from, such that you're getting paid to do a job you can't even do because they can't give you permission to do the thing you were paid for.
Yeah.
It's the stress of the water pipe broke on Christmas and I am the boss of everything. That is a beautiful stress
Yeah.
versus, hi, I'm in Shanghai on Christmas Eve and I can't leave, otherwise I don't get my bonus. Like, that's
Yeah.
no,
For
thank you.
sure. And I feel like when you own your own thing and you don't report to a higher up, it's scary, but it's also like way more empowering. Like
That
you
part.
have to take the ownership, you have to just own it,
Yep.
have that extreme ownership, Jocko mentality. But it's like once you do that, you have a lot more weight to bear, but you're your own keeper, so to speak.
Yep.
Like you can go whatever,
Yep.
and whether it's a failure or a success, it's all on you.
It's it.
But I would rather have that than not.
And all the fruits of the failure, the learnings, those are all yours too. And now you have those learnings of that quote unquote failure in your pocket to apply to the next thing. And that sense of ownership you don't get working for someone else. They
Yep.
don't even they don't even let you. You try to be responsible. No, that's this person over here that makes more money. That's their, like, they should have seen that, whatever it is. It's no, you're our thought on starting a company was really like, I want my own Joe Rogan compound and I want to buy my freedom back from the matrix. And that's all I'm looking to do. I want out of the matrix as much as possible. Let me pay my bills, keep all the bill people away and find freedom. And we're still on that path. And we have a lot of those things. We've built a lot of those things into our lives. And, you know, when we started, that wasn't a thing. So that perspective is really important. One, you said it earlier, like there's no done. There's no like, okay, we got the sauna. Business over. We did it. Okay, we're living out in the woods. Business over. It's not that. I think it's an issue when you're looking to separate life from life. And
Yeah.
here's wife life, and here's dog life, and here's work life, and here's truck life. No, it's all life. And this is just a modern day version of what life used to be, where you had multiple different people doing multiple different things on multiple different pieces of land, and they worked together to make sure everybody had what they needed. And this is just the modern day version of that.
Yeah, it to me, it's a lot more holistic. I mean, it may seem to the outside eye that it's just very, you know, really fine tuned in the weeds, business, business, business. Your whole life revolves around business. But like if you actually step back and look at it as you and I are living, and I feel like it is a quintessential example of like a very holistic way to live. I mean, everything's intertwined, everything works in unison, everything benefits from everything else,
Yep.
everything's impacted by everything else. And if you're doing it in a way that provides a well-being for those that you care about and love, I mean, like what else more could you ask for in life, you know?
And that's what I come down to every time, anytime I have those thoughts, because it's like, well, what else would I be doing? I'm not someone who can't do things. I can't. So what else would I do? I'd be doing something else probably like this and for
Yeah.
someone else. And I don't want to do that. And maybe there are those people, like the idea of retiring or like build a business, sell a business, like all of these different things, they just don't make sense. I feel like we're meant to interact with life while we have it. And that's the
Yeah.
only thing I know how to do. I don't know what else to do. And we have to do something to make the currency stuff to make sure that no one can come and take our little piece of freedom away. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think that's, I mean, that's what I know, but I wouldn't want to do anything else. Like it just feels right, you know?
Yeah, no, same. It feels right, and then there's all the different flavors and hues of feelings that are involved in that, but the end feeling is that this is the right thing. And so any of the stress or worry or anything that's briefly there as you hit roadblocks, it's all just, again, a holistic part of what it is to, like, what's the right thing for me? What's the right
Yeah.
thing? This is how I can help myself and the people that I love, and then have a product that helps people. I can't think of a different way of being. And yeah, that's just, it's interesting.
I got one last question
Yeah.
for you. So I'm assuming you're probably similar to me in that you've only got so much time in a day. So
Yeah.
you're wanting to spend that time doing the most productive things that move the needle forward in some form or fashion.
Yep.
So it's hard to justify spending time doing something completely unrelated to everything else you're
Yep.
working on. But what is one totally unrelated interest of yours that maybe you've set on the back burner for the time being until the time is right, that you're excited to eventually pick up and partake in again?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I I'm going crazy not being able to do CrossFit because I found out I had a full length rotator cuff tear. So, and I decided not to get surgery because I don't have time for it. So
Mm,
I've done everything I can do, rehab, stem cells, PRP, BPC. It's fine, but I miss throwing heavy weights fast overhead with that arm. So um, I look forward to being a good girl and getting the surgery so that I can use this arm without fear again, because that's the most annoying piece of my life right now.
yeah, that is frustrating
That's kind
for
of
sure.
boring, but I do lots of other things, but I'm strong, and you don't realize how much, like, you just get used to being strong and powerful and not having to worry about your pieces, breaking. And to be fair, I earned this, and I did it to myself. But I look forward to getting that fixed, even though I don't look forward to this. Like, surgery doesn't bother me, but not being able to use my arm for months is going to bother me. But being able to throw heavy things fast is going to feel great again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shoot, your recovery will go smoothly. You're healthy. You're eating all the right stuff and doing all the right things.
No,
So,
it will. I
you know,
think, no, it will. And that's, again, every roadblock you learn. I learned a lot about why I tore it and how not to do it again. And wouldn't have learned that stuff had I not torn it.
you live and you learn.
Yep.
What's the next conference I'm gonna say? Yeah.
You know, we pulled back a lot this year. I'm not sure. We've been trying to kind of recalibrate and look at ROI for everything that we do. And we've been so focused on getting up to Montana. I don't know. The next thing we have on the books is there's a Highlands Games here in the Bitterroot Valley. Like
Nice.
so we might do that, but I'm not sure yet. We haven't fully decided to try to go to Florida for Hack Your Health this year. And we may not do any more this year. And we've been trying to focus that funding. We've been trying to do a better job of really looking at ROI, because it's not cheap to go to these shows. The whole thing's not cheap. So if we can take that chunk of money and build a new customer base somewhere else, we've kind of been trying to look at that. So we're not sure yet. We did a lot last year, and I think we need
You
a
did.
breath.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I pulled back on the conferences a bunch this year as well with us having the baby.
Oh yeah.
So We'll see if that picks up next year, but no shame in taking a year to
Nope.
recalibrate.
Nope. And then it's more fun, you know, instead of it like, oh, we're going again. Okay, we just got back. Now we're going to Vegas. Now we're going here. So I'm not sure, but I'm sure we will see you somewhere. Oh, and we'd love to be a part of the event that you have coming. So
Yeah, I'm excited
yeah,
about that. That'll be my first foray as a show promoter. So we're going to be sticking some Keto Brains
love
creatine
it.
packs in the swag bags.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Well, thank you. And thank you for being so supportive all of these years. You're awesome.
Hey, it's always a pleasure, Molly. It's like therapeutic for people that are entrepreneurial to talk to others that are in the same space and relate with. So I always look forward to our
Well,
conversations.
thank you. Me as well. Tell your wife congratulations and enjoy your new baby.
I will. I will. And for those that are listening, best place to find y'all is
Yep.
ketobrains.com. Anything else?
Ketobrains.com
With a
with
Z.
a Z. Ketobrains with a Z.
All right. I'll link out, make it easy. Appreciate you,
All right.
Molly.
Thank you.